What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Best Man Podcast. This is where Joe and I get to talk about whatever we want, mostly memories and stupid decisions we made when we were kids. That's my best man, Joe. What's going on, buddy?
And that's the best man, Dave Nestor. How you doing, man?
Good. Cool. That'll work for now. Do you want to do one?
Nah, I feel like you nailed it.
Okay.
You want me to go one?
No, you don't have to. I mean, I really don't care who does the intro, as long as we have one.
I mean, I feel like you just have found your way into this, and you've nailed a few, and now I'm good with it.
Well, just keep practicing, and I'm just kidding.
Don't tell me what to do.
Joe, we're going to talk about guilty pleasures today, and I want to know what the first one that comes to mind. We all have probably multiple guilty pleasures, I would assume. Some we can't advertise to the public, I assume, as well. But we're going to try to talk about ones that are appropriate for our podcast. So whatever you want.
So, without a doubt, the first thing that comes to my mind is my guilty pleasures of anything with music, right? And I watched Glee when Glee was a thing, but I would record it and fast forward through the acting sections and just watch the music, and then that would be it. I had no idea what was going on in the actual show. I was just listening to the music scenes of it. But the number one movie of mine that my wife openly makes fun of me every time I watch it, and she was like, "This is your guilty pleasure, isn't it?" I'm like, "Oh fuck yeah!" Now I'm gonna draw a blank on the name of the movie because I don't even know the movie name. It's the Pitch Perfect movies.
Yeah, those are funny.
That Girl's a Smoke Show. 1, 2. It's funny enough, and the music's good enough. I love it. Embarrassing, guilty pleasure, Pitch Perfect.
I mean, if I like it too, does that mean it's not embarrassing?
At least it's less embarrassing.
Yeah, for our conversations and our podcast, which that's all that matters right now in this exact moment. I like Pitch Perfect as well. I think the first one was good. Second one was okay.
So they're coming out with another one, right?
No, but I believe it. I mean, they did well with the first couple. Why wouldn't they?
It's the dude that's in it. That was in the first one. Was it Bumpy? He's in the first one, and then he graduated college and became a security guard at the school. And he was boning the big girl in it, Rebel.
Oh yeah, okay. So it's what's that actor's name? He's funny. He's had a stand-up special on Netflix too.
Yeah, he does all kinds of stuff, but he has his.
He's on Workaholics, right?
Yeah. It's basically Pitch Perfect with just him.
I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Bumpy makes it big or something like that.
Adam Devine. That's his name. Anyway, Pitch Perfect was hilarious though. There's another movie that she's in.
There's so many funny cameos in it, like Snoop Dogg in it. That's hilarious.
Oh yeah. It might be I know a lot of those movies that are kind of cheesy but still engaging for us.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they're written by people that we enjoy other movies they've written, similar to Mean Girls. Actually, that would probably be my first. If we're doing movie guilty pleasures, Mean Girls is probably one of my favorites. From the guilty pleasure. We
watched that when we lived together.
We watched it all the time. That and Wedding Crashers and all these other ones for sure. But no, Mean Girls was written and directed, I think, by some SNL writers.
Okay.
So that makes sense because they had a bunch of SNL cast members that were in the movie.
I make comments about from quotes from movies all the time at work, and nobody has any idea what I'm talking about except for maybe one or two people, and I'll get a big pop out of them. But somebody will be like, "Oh, that's so fattening." Oh, I know I shouldn't. I'm just trying to lose 2 pounds though. So
2 pounds.
I'll say little comments like that, and everybody just looks at me like, "You're fucking retarded, dude."
No, you are not, and you're not allowed to say that anymore. By the way. Yeah, that's on my desktop.
Okay.
All right. We had some technical difficulties, but I think we might have fixed it, so we're just gonna continue on. I think.
Yeah. We're good.
So, guilty pleasures. First, you went with Pitch Perfect.
Yeah.
The movie franchise, and I went with Mean Girls. I don't know where to go from here because there's so many that I don't know if I want to say.
Don't be scared.
All right. So it's my turn because you chose movies first?
Yeah.
All right. Guilty pleasures.
A lot of dead space here, man.
I can always edit this out. This is not a problem. I can always chop it. I can do whatever I want.
You ain't gonna do
Power
shit.
of the editor. I would say, I mean, I thought about this because we decided what we're going to do, a day or two ago. And why is it that things that make us feel pleasure have to be guilty pleasures? Why should we feel guilty about feeling good? There's a rabbit hole.
Put that in the notes.
Put that in the notes. So yeah, guilty pleasures. I would say sometimes it's a good feeling to. No, I'm not going to say that. That would be mean. Joe likes it when I'm mean though, so he's like egging me on. He wants me to be angry, and he wants me to.
You won't.
You won't say it. You're right. I won't. Correct. Guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasure. Man, I'm drawing a blank because I had like 5 I was going to go with. So if we're doing movies, all right, guilty pleasure music wise, Jessie J.
No idea who that is.
Even better.
Oh, now we got to get on the old iTunes and figure out who the fuck JCJ is and why you're embarrassed of it.
Not embarrassed. It's very, a lot of the music that she has produced.
Oh, she.
Yeah, over the more recent times, it's just pretty cookie cutter pop stuff. But she's got an amazing voice. I even read an article that Justin Timberlake said she had the best voice.
Who are you, Jessie J? Oh, she has a song with the coffee cup. I like to call Ariana Grande the coffee cup. Ariana Grande. Sounds like it's a drink at Starbucks.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger ones she was a part of.
No idea who that is, but I get it. So you want me to tell something musically that I'm like a guilty pleasure? Man,
Sure.
I mean, we can. I'll go back to like our high school days. Like, if you play like the shit we listened to in high school, like the at the time, like sad boy music, like the Taking Back Sunday and stuff like that. You play that nowadays, people are like, "Man, why are you in your feelings?" Like, I'm not in my feelings. Like, this isn't good anymore.
That's why it's called emo.
God, man,
it's emo music, dude. 100%. That's the way it is. No, but I guess Jessie J would be a guilty pleasure. But if you get bored and you want to check out some of her old stuff, look up YouTube. Oh.
Yeah.
Classic. If you get bored, look up Jessie J Boombox series on YouTube. She does like she sings in a subway with a boombox.
That's cool.
And it like has the echo from the subway tiles and stuff. But
that is cool.
Really good, really, really good vocals.
So like a rabbit hole that I keep getting stuck going down is the John Mayer YouTube hole. Man, I could get stuck on listening to John Mayer and Alicia Keys all fucking day long.
Yeah, especially together.
Oh my god. You sit there and watch them sing, you're like, oh, I think they're about to start fucking. Oh, it's about to happen. Oh, it's about to happen. And then they never do. But like, man, the way they look at each other, like you're bought in, like it's happening. It's happening.
Joe wants to watch them bang. Okay, there's a guilty pleasure.
Man, that sex tape would go viral.
Oh yeah. See what happens. I mean, to be honest, they're both attractive humans, it makes sense. They're both very talented at what they do. They have great voices. She's a great pianist. He's a great
She's a
um,
ba- she's a
guitar
what?
player. Huh?
Huh? She's a
She's a
what?
great pianist.
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 You're gonna try to get me to say something I shouldn't, and it's not gonna work. You don't know me.
All right.
Yeah, I love John Mayer and Alicia Keys, both.
John Mayer has so many fucking funny cameos with what's our guy down the road from here? Dave
Chappelle.
Chappelle. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, they used to get into it. It was funny.
yeah. There's a new movie that John Mayer was in at the very beginning of the movie. Him and his buddy are just sitting on this rooftop bar during this party, and they're going over like different names in their phone and why the females are named that. And they put like states next to the girl's first name, and that's the girl's last
That
name.
wasn't a cameo. They just happened to be shooting and got a clip of that at the same time.
I said that to Carrie. I was like, that's probably how John Mayer is in real life. I don't know you, John. If you ever watch this, which you probably won't, but
God, man. So like,
I assume that when you meet a girl, you probably have to put her location because there's so many women that you meet
so
to make sure you know who's who.
I was listening to a podcast and I don't even remember what it was, but they were like basically like they were on the fence of going on this bachelor party, and it was somebody they kind of knew, didn't really know, and one of the groomsmen's cousin was John Mayer, and they were like, "Hey man, can you get John Mayer to come to this bachelor party?" He's like, "Oh, he loves bachelor parties. He'll definitely come." And the guy was like, "All right, I'm off the fence. I'm going." Whether this dude shows up or not, like the anticipation of him actually coming or not is going to be legendary, dude. Like,
Of course.
he fucking shows up. There's nothing going. Like he couldn't. Weren't really feeling it in Chicago. He piles them all into a private jet, flies out to Vegas, finishes out the bachelor party in Vegas, and then flies everybody back the next morning. Like,
Must be nice.
ah.
Must be nice.
So the moment we've been waiting for, like one of the like the top 3-4 things on our to-do list when we start making our notes section was
talk about the tree fort.
Our tree forts, yeah.
Okay, we're switching to that. Yeah, it's for some reason I don't have a lot of guilty pleasures. I guess I don't care what people think anymore.
No, like I want to do
So
that.
nothing's
I want to do
really
a guilty pleasure each week. Like next week,
Okay.
we'll talk about another one, and like we don't have to keep talking about guilty pleasures, but like each week maybe talk about a new one. Like, cause maybe this next week you'll find a new one, or maybe you'll start to do something like, oh, Q-tips in the ear hole. Nothing better.
That's one of Carrie's.
I know how much you love it.
I look over and she's like, yeah.
So
anyway,
tree forts.
Tree fort.
Little boys. Like when little boys get enough freedom, they can get a hammer, they can get a couple nails, get a pile of scrap wood, shimmy their way up a tree, and next thing, bing bang boom, they have a tree fort that is not safe. It is not stable. But man, it is fucking badass up there.
And it's a good time.
It's a great time.
Yeah, man. I mean, after seeing all the movies with like name the movies that have tree forts. I mean, Sandlot was the first one I saw probably, but then Dennis the Menace, he had a killer tree fort. Yeah. Home Alone. How many great movies from
Little
our childhood
Rascals
involved?
Little Rascals had a badass one. Not fire, but
yep. Jack, you remember that movie?
Oh,
Robin
yeah.
Williams? R.I.P. Great movie. Great movie. Sad movie. But yeah, the tree fort. So Joe and I were part of a group of friends that had a giant tree fort, and we all kind of had our own tree forts when we were kids, right? I know that we had multiple in my yard.
Yeah, so I mean, let's start chronologically. Like, so like,
okay,
what was the first one that you remember making as a kid?
So before I moved to Ohio, I was in kindergarten. I remember making like a pine needle tree fort, kind of, because we lived like on a campground up in the mountains, in New York, and didn't have a lot of scrap wood or hammers and nails. My parents wouldn't let me touch any of that stuff, so it was just all tree branches and pine needles. But it actually like was really cool because we lived near a really pine wooded forest. Like it was all pine trees everywhere, but they were super tall, so there were branches all over the place, pine needles all over the place. So like pretty ideal.
Yeah.
Like I remember one of the little ones I made didn't even get wet when it rained because of all the pine needles. It's cool.
So me and my friend in
It wasn't a tree fort; it was the base of the tree.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
So me and my friend in Arkansas, my friend Trey, uh, we had one, and we built it in uh, like a evergreen tree, pine tree, but like when we would like cut into it, like just sap would start pouring out all over us, and like we would just be like covered and in this sticky mess, like and like that shit you can't get off of you. Like doesn't matter how much you wash, it's just always kind of like stuck there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So like we kind of had one up there, but like the one I remember the most was I was probably in third grade, and I lived in Hilliard at the time, and I was in like a kind of a newer development, and this newer development it had like all these houses being built, but like sometimes they would just stop being built, and I don't know if like they ran out of supplies or the people ran out of money or whatever. So it'd just be like this half built house like down the road from us, and so like we would just that's ours now, and like we would just like kind of go from spot to spot to spot, like bullshitting in these half-ass built houses and play those as our tree forts. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like
I
riding our
guess technically
bikes
my
through these
first.
half-built houses and shit. Like it was sweet.
I was gonna say those are both our first forts. I guess my first tree fort was in Cedarville
Yeah, I think so.
when I
Yeah.
lived on 42.
The one on top of that
Um,
shed garage thing.
I think it was either that before we tore down that shed, or I did build a small one by the creek, but it didn't last very long because there wasn't a lot of tree branches because all the trees were too small.
I don't remember the one by the
Um,
creek. I remember us building that one. You had this
didn't
like
last long, like I said.
it was like a shed, but it was like big enough to hold a car, right? Like it was decent size in there.
Yeah, you could have put a car in there, and it had almost like old school garage doors with like the barn style hin or the barn style
Yeah,
rollers on the
yeah.
top or whatever on the track.
So we built
And
that tree fort, like half of it on the roof of that shed
mhm,
garage thing, and half of it
mhm.
into a tree.
I think one of the things that really teetered my parents into tearing down that old nasty shed by our house was because I took a hatchet, which Joe has a lot of stories about
Yeah.
me with
So
hatchets. We'll talk about that maybe a different time. We'll see. Um, but I remember cutting a hole in the roof of the shed so I could go from the tree fort, which was attached. So you have your shed roof. Tree was like over here. So I made like a lean-to sort of right into the tree with the roof. Well, then I went into the roof because I chopped a hole with the hatchet, legitimately, through shingles, through the plywood, into the attic so then I can come in and out of that.
I had
And then
no
it
idea. That's fucking
probably
awesome.
leaked.
That's awesome.
Probably leaked. Yep.
Probably.
It was bad. And then from there, we went to the tree down the neighbor's driveway from there, like 3 or 4 trees down or whatever. And that's when we did the zip line
Yeah, so
from
hold on, let's
the
backtrack
from
though.
that
Like,
to the
let's
shed.
not leave this first tree fort. So I remember we had one other buddy and
Mhm.
lived across the street from me. So
Mhm.
like when I would come over, like either be in a whole other section bill or whatever, we all would like you this tree fort like barely had a roof, but it mainly just had a spot for you to hang out in, and then you would build a roof over your own little sitting spot. So like the whole goal was to try and make this coolest little spot in for yourself as possible. So like
Rain or shine.
preface this your own little cool spot as we move from tree fort to tree fort. So the next one was an actual tree fort.
Yes.
Yeah.
Legit.
So you talked more about it because it was in your house.
I remember so the neighbor across the street, they had a dumpster in their driveway for a long period of time. I think initially it was there for a roof um, install, but they also owned a roofing company, I do
Okay.
believe. His parents did, and they did all the work themselves. So I think they kept that dumpster there to take the debris from their jobs back to their own place, and then paid the dumpster company eventually, right, to take it away. But I would go in that dumpster
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
when they weren't there and take the scrap that they were going to throw away anyway, that they were paying to get taken away. So, I mean, if anything, I was taking it away for free. But I did get caught a couple times, and his mom yelled at me and said, "Get out of our dumpster. You're gonna hurt yourself," or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like in
Um,
hindsight, it makes sense if you were to ever get hurt. Like that was in like the heyday of people suing people and shit like that. So
and I was in their garage or in their driveway, so like
it was in their
on their property.
garage. I
No,
was gonna say,
I did get some wood out of the garage because they did let me. So I think his mom felt bad, and they were super nice, so they gave me a bunch of 2x4s and stuff out of the garage.
okay,
But
whose tree was it?
so
Like, was it your actual tree? Or was it their tree?
they weren't next to me; they were across the street from me. So if you went behind my house, it was actually the neighbors that lived behind us,
Okay,
and then the neighbors that lived catty corner to them, behind them, kind of.
okay,
They had a long driveway.
yeah,
So if you were at my house, and to the left of the house there was a long driveway that went all the way back, and the tree fort was on our property, but it was the Harker Roads because they owned our house and the house behind us that they rented, and then on the other side of like that tree was the driveway of the people that lived back there, so they owned that property. So we were right on the edge because I think it was Mr. I think they were related to the Hardings. I
okay.
don't mind saying his name. He was a super nice guy. He had mentioned to me a couple times, I'm pretty sure that's our property, but you can build a tree fort in it or whatever. He didn't care. He was pretty chill.
Yeah,
So that wasn't an issue. But yeah, we built, it was probably,
it was high up there. It was good size.
I would say it was 15, 20 feet for the bottom floor.
Yeah, and I think we actually had
And
like multiple levels. Like none of it was
mhm.
like really sturdy. None of it was like you couldn't stand up in it really. Like it was just you could kind of
Mhm.
shuffle around from level to level, from spot to spot.
We didn't know what we
It
were
had
doing.
little platforms.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
kids. But I mean, we did have like pretty good sized construction nails that I'd collected from that
yeah.
dumpster, like 4-inch nails. It was pretty secure, even if it wasn't legitimately built. I didn't feel unsafe in
And
there.
what's wild is like we built that one and we built this next one and like what happened to it? Like did some anybody tear it down or just like disappear over time? Like I know that you said you guys
This one,
tore the shed down, so that one probably came down. Like when you guys moved out of that house, did you have to tear down that tree fort or was it still
I
there?
think I had to take. I think I had to take down anything that made it look gross or that was easy. But like the ladder going up to it was not going anywhere.
Yeah,
There was no way to get that out of the tree without like killing the tree.
yeah.
And then there was a bunch of other branches that if you take the nails out, they'd probably die. So like I left a lot of it.
All right. So like before we move on to like the Taj Mahal, like what is
Well, we
your
had the zip line.
like that? Well, I was gonna say like what's the number one memory of it?
Probably the zip line. It was a lot of fun. It seemed to be like something to
Do
do.
you
We were
remember?
kids. We didn't have a
Do
lot
you
to do.
remember us going to go buy the materials to put in the zip line? And like our buddy Drew had some money. It was always Drew was our financial backer for a long, long time.
He volunteered. I mean, until we all started working.
Yeah, I mean, like
Um,
I don't think he ever. Yeah, I don't think we ever pressure. Maybe we get him on here one of these times and he can tell us what he really feels about it. But
we probably pressured
dude, I
him. I
remember
don't know.
like the part that we would hold on to slide down was just like a really long fucking screw. So we had to wear gloves to hang on to it.
For a while, yeah, we had multiple things we tried. None of them were efficient.
And
We should have done like a bike handlebars with a
dude,
pulley,
there's so many different
like
things we should have
actually
done.
put on it. Yeah.
You realize like my back is basically broken from that zip line. You know this
No, but I
story?
know Zach Ross broke his
Dude,
ankle.
I remember this exact moment. So like me, you, Drew, there was two Beths in the shed tree fort, and we were gonna ride the zip line down. But like we kept landing about halfway down. And so we kept tightening it tighter, tighter, tighter. And the girls were like, "Oh, go down it backwards." And like double dog dare me, like, all right, I'll fucking go. But nobody had gone down it since we tightened it up so much, right? And so,
Yeah.
like, I slide down it backwards, and so, like, right when the zip line ended, there started to be a hill right after that tree, right?
No, because we came from the big tree to the zip line, not from the shed
When we
the other
did
way.
this in this memory,
This is before that
this
one.
is from Shed Tree Fort to Big Tree down the hill. So we were in the shed tree fort, and we had this little baby zip line, and I'm going down it, and we had tightened it up, and nobody had gone down it yet. So we were so used to our feet hitting the ground, and that's when you knew to stop because we didn't have a stop. You just had a, all right, fucking let go. And so I'm going down backwards, and I fucking hit that knot or like the piece to holding it together at the end, and I fly off of it. I'm looking at the ground, flying like Superman, but backwards. And my face, hands, and chest hit the ground, but I'm going down a hill. So, like, all that shit hits the ground, and then my feet, I scorpion myself. My feet hit the ground in front of me. And ever since then, I've had back issues.
I don't remember
Oh,
that.
I remember, like,
Sure, it was my zipline.
yes, 1,000%, yes.
You heard it out there, world. Joe's gonna sue me because I broke his back with my zipline.
So
It was our
where
zipline.
did the second zipline go? I don't remember a second zipline. That's the only one I remember.
So
from the basically from the shed to the old tree.
Okay. So the shed was only a 1-story, and then obviously the peak was 2-story tall, I would say, something like that. And then we had our tree fort on top of it. But then when we stopped doing that one and built the one over in the tree, before they tore down the shed, I remember having the zip line go from that tree to the shed.
See, I never ever remember the shed getting torn down.
Oh, yeah.
Is this after like your sophomore year of high school?
We moved they tore down the shed like a year before we moved into the house that I graduated in. So that would have been right around 10th grade. 9th, 10th grade, they tore it down, and then we moved when I was in
10th grade, man, because I left Cedarville in 9th grade.
Yeah,
no, way. I left Cedarville after 10th grade. So I did.
The zip line was taken down after Zach broke his ankle. My dad made me. So it was like tree fort was here at the shed. The tree fort that we had built up, multiple stories, I put the zip line at a decent level, so it was a good elevation to come down and go fast. But it still dipped a little, so you could like run before you would get to the tree by the shed, because you could run into the shed or whatever.
Yeah, so
that's where Zach dropped coming towards the shed, right? So he jumped instead of just dropping like off the thing and like hanging. He jumped, and when he jumped, he jolted, and it like made him let go. So he let go from the very top where the tree fort was, straight down on his ankle. Broke his ankle, screaming his head off. My brother John came out, picked him up, carried him to the garage. They called the ambulance, and he had broken his ankle. You left, and then we ended up being roommates in college, Zach and I.
Really?
For some reason, even though they were always mean to me. Just ended up happening.
Yeah. Is it good? I mean, so backtrack. I mean, call back to last episode. Was he the roommate that you had when you got kicked out and got in the cop car that night? Was he in your room? Did he know that?
No, he had signed out for the weekend.
Oh, fuck. That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me grab it.
No, we haven't talked about that, though. It'd be funny if they listen to this. Yeah. I wonder if they will. Hey, guys.
We'll find out. Like, hey, motherfucker. Keep my name out.
All right. So, did we do any tree forts at your place? Because I know at the first place you lived in Cedarville, we didn't. But I wasn't sure if we did at the second one or at your dad's or any of that kind of thing. I don't remember if we did any
first house forts. I lived in, we had a little makeshift lean-to on side of the house. I remember eating the 3D Doritos and some pop in there.
Okay. We'd always build pillow forts and stuff too.
Yeah, I remember pillow forts in that one. Random fucking memory. Do you remember listening to Eagle Eye Cherries CD? My brothers had bought it, and I remember they had just bought it, and had a few songs that were real popular. So us listening to that in our pillow couch cushion fort. Yeah.
No, I don't remember that.
Staying up all night till 3 a.m. and passing out.
I remember watching the E channel because it was wild on E, and we thought it was awesome because girls were in bikinis, and that was awesome.
Do you remember the pants off, dance off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So we never really did many at my house. the Taj Mahal was like kind of the. So I don't want to get it wrong. So like we can like anybody that listens to us like fact check us on this, but like
I mean, 26 minutes. I can always check it
what?
if we like start talking about it and realize, just like I did on the last episode, where I was saying like the wrong details of the story.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna just cut out the.
So like I guess fact check us like the brothers, our buddy's brothers started it and had the majority of it built. And it got passed down from brother's friend group to brother's friend group. And I remember having to do sketchy things to get money to return products for lumber. Were you a part of any of those missions? Yeah. So like
No, I've heard plenty of these
yeah,
stories
so
though.
basically like we would return product for lumber and how we got that product was up in the air. I'm not going to disclose that. It would basically be like 20 of us would go in there and get stuff and then somebody else would return it as like a construction worker or some shit. And then that's how we basically funded this whole thing. And to my knowledge, to my involvement, and like my involvement was basically just manual labor. Like Jason's brothers were the carpenters in this. Like they built the thing and like so like you get into the details of it and of like all the different levels and platforms and everything of it.
You want me to? Is that what
Yeah,
you
you
said?
get into it. You talk
Okay.
about like the construction of it, the Swiss Family Robinson house.
Yeah, so we definitely had a great time over at our friend's house every summer. Anytime it was warm, even after school, we all played sports together. We
Summer,
hung out
winter.
together
I would
almost
remember
every
being
single
in the
day.
winter time too.
We did a little bit, yeah. I didn't go up there as much in the winter, even though I lived closer than you. My parents were a lot more strict than yours were. I wasn't able to always leave and do things. Um, but in any case, I remember the brothers building the first platform, and it basically was this really well built deck almost without legs or anything, just up in the sky, a full platform, just elevated with cables. Do you remember this?
Yeah. I was
So they
I
had,
was part of the group to help lift it up.
yeah, I wasn't part of that. I wasn't there.
Yeah, it sucked. The
Um,
thing was fucking massive. It was probably every bit of like 15 by 15. Like it was a
yeah,
big suspended patio.
yeah.
It was over the
So
creek.
you
It
had
was over like
multiple,
pretty much over a creek.
and they kept that there. I remember even when they start to build like the actual frame for the big actual tree fort. So they had three trees. So they did like a triangle, if I remember correctly, for the first platform.
Yeah.
Um, and then the suspended platform was next to that. And they always had two solid ropes, two for your hand or one for your hands, one for your feet. And you would have to shimmy over. That was at least the first way to get over to the first platform. And then you could walk into the or onto the main floor
So
of the
you
first
said
floor
shimmy over.
from
So
there.
like basically,
Over the
yeah.
creek.
So
Over the
like
creek.
they lived on one side of a creek and had like built like a platform to get over to like you basically crossed the creek in the air on a suspended bridge,
Hmm.
damn near.
Not even
Not
that.
even
Not
suspended
even
bridge. It
that
was like
secure.
a
No, it was two
yeah.
ropes. It was two ropes that I remember, and I think they might have even had at one time two on either side, and then you could walk on the rope in the middle. So you had two. I think they did that too. But imagine a deer
Oh,
stand. If
so
people haven't
like
seen this,
on backtrack, two ropes. So like you stood on one rope and then you used two other ropes to hold it, or just one above your head.
it started out with just one
Yeah, like
because there's stories about us doing things off of the rope,
yeah.
um, and people falling. You know what I'm talking about. We did some stupid things when we were kids, man. In any
Why
case,
did
so
his
yeah, if you
parents
can
let us do
imagine,
this shit?
they didn't know.
She egged,
They
they egged
definitely
it
didn't
on.
know.
So like, hold on.
they knew about like the simple parts of what we did. They didn't know the details of what we
So do
did.
you remember the day like 8 dudes like took these like suppositories and went out to the tree?
31 minutes cutting out. I'm just kidding.
Oh, this has to
Yeah,
be part of
yeah, it
it.
was a competition to see who could
Who could
hold
hold the shit the longest?
their poo the longest. Yeah. And then we got creative on ways to
Evacuate.
correct. We were twisted, man. Anyway, so I was trying to explain when you first walk down on this property towards the creek, there's a couple layer or like tiers to the yard, right? It starts out kind of level, goes down a little bit in the yard, then it goes down a tier to the garage area, then it goes down another tier to like a flat area to where the actual creek was.
Almost like
Where the creek
flood
was, you had to
zone.
climb. Yeah, I think that's what it was originally for. Because there's that pond next to the house on the right.
Mhm.
That's like a inlet from the creek. So the deer stand is what I call it. The first thing you climb up is on the house side of the creek, probably 6 to 8 feet up max. Wasn't super tall, but it was on like an actual cliff, kind of like a 4 or 5 foot cliff. I would say you had to climb down to get to the creek, right? At least on that at that
Yeah,
point,
because it
because
was
then it
on
went
like a
down even
tree
further.
almost, right?
Yeah, because it went down another tier if you went to the right instead of straight to the
Yeah.
creek where the bonfire
Well,
pit
there's a
was.
little bit of a waterfall there too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's where we would go to get on the ropes to climb over to the other side of the creek where the first platform was. Then they built the second platform, and I remember it was very fast. I think the older brothers worked construction, so they also got a lot of construction materials from those jobs besides doing what you said you guys did to get more material. So a lot of it was like secondhand, but still got the job done. I remember some of the boards already being used
Yeah, but it was
and
like
having a bunch of
it
random
was good
holes or
material. It
nails.
wasn't like it was like sketchy wood that we were using in the other tree forts. Like it was all solid
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean,
But like what I remember about the original way to cross, it was a regular basis that somebody was falling in. Like if there was
mhm.
like 5 of us going over, one was in the water every time.
Yep,
Like without a
yep,
doubt. Like and
yep.
you would kind of go over and you'd lose your balance go and then you'd go down, right? So like they eventually built like an elaborate like zip line system to take you to and fro, right? But there's also like a tree that had fallen down across across the creek that you could cross on. Do you remember that? A little bit further down.
Hmm. Yep, and it got shallow in some spots. You could go across without getting wet.
Yeah. Well,
Some
so
spots.
when we were there was that little bit of a creek there, or a little bit of a uh, waterfall there. Well, they were trying to build up the waterfall to kind of make a walking bridge across a lot smoother.
And a swimming pool. They wanted to be able to swim in the creek, I remember.
So we were grabbing these rocks and like building up this area, right? And I had grabbed this rock and it was probably 2 feet wide. And it seemed big and heavy and like it was like stuck and like it was like jarring at it. I think somebody came over and helped me like lift it. And as soon as I got it up in the air, 2 feet, 2 feet, tail and head pop out. It was a fucking snapping turtle that was like this circle was probably 2 feet in diameter. And so like I freak out, just like throw it. Well, Jason's directly older brother was there and he like caught it and like we get on land and like we kept trying to catch it and people would like try and put like sticks in front of its mouth to not bite us. And it was just like crunching through these like big old sticks that were like 2 inches in diameter. He was just snapping through 'em, like, it was wild.
That's
Scariest
crazy.
dinosaur I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I wasn't there. Must have been a different day.
Terrifying.
Yeah,
So, like,
because the construction on that place lasted for a while because they just kept adding
just
to it.
kept adding to it, different brothers were adding to it, were adding to it, like, it never ended. And, like,
Yeah.
we were through the woods on that backside of that tree fort was, like, the soccer fields where we would practice, and so, like, we would try to, like, make this elaborate zip line system to just zip line our way to soccer practice.
Hmm. And we did a couple
Yeah.
times.
Um,
Yeah.
So, like, tree fort, like, let's talk about, like, the inside of this main area. So, like, main area was what by what? Like, how big was it?
Um, I would say because the first room was a triangle room, sort of, but then it had a step up to the next room, and they had built full
Don't say
walls and
room, just say, like, platformed area. So, it was all one giant room,
oh yeah, okay, I got you.
and
Yeah.
it had a step up into the next area of the room, but it was all kind of like a triangle-esque room.
hmm I would say at least 15-foot walls each side,
Yeah.
because one couch fit probably. I don't think it took up half. It might have taken up half of one of the walls, so it might be more like 12 feet. Either way, 12 to 15 foot walls on all three sides for that
And
part,
about
and then the
how
next part was like a square.
tall how high was the ceiling?
It was at least 10 feet, I would say.
And then
Yeah, and
brothers
then we had a ceiling
all the
fan.
brothers did roofing, and so it had shingles on it, like, it was
Had a legitimate roof.
weatherproof.
Yep. Yep.
Had a wood-burning fireplace in it, so you could go in
hmm
there you technically could do that in the winter, and
hmm
I'd done that a couple
They,
times.
they built up the walls, and then the top part of the walls could open
Yeah,
with like a pulley and rope system.
so it was like,
Each one of the
giant
panels.
windows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they started building some different platforms farther up, and you can climb up to it. I remember
Yeah.
that. Yep. But that was the main floor, and it was huge. We had multiple couches in there, multiple tables,
They had ran
chairs.
electricity out there, so there was outlets, there was ceiling fans.
hmm We had like Christmas
Yeah,
lights kind of strewn about. I know we had like, people do Edison bulbs above their decks
yeah,
now. We had that already back
yeah,
then
that's fucking awesome.
over that platform. Yeah.
Interior designers?
I mean, we could have been. Missed our calling. But either way, so this tree fort was so elaborate, and we were so proud of it, and we had it handed down to us from the older group of brothers. Um, we would always stay out there, and like I don't think a lot of the parents really liked it. I know my parents didn't like that I would stay over there
As a tree fort or
because there's
just
no
over there?
both. I mean, towards the end of my Cedarville career, um, it wasn't as big of a deal. The older I got, but also Jason went to college, so I didn't really go over there that much.
Yeah.
um, after that. But yeah, I mean, when I was younger, for sure, they tried to keep me from staying over there. And then as I got older, it started to go away. I think it was just because it seemed like anything went there. You could get away with anything, which really wasn't true.
Not at all. I mean, if
Um,
anything,
the
like,
parents were pretty strict,
they were pretty
strict-ish.
strict, but they also had 5 boys, and so, like, and every single one of their boys had their friend group at the house. So, like, on a Friday night when I was in 7th, 8th grade, there would be, like, 35 dudes there, ranging from the age of 7th grade to a senior in high school. Like,
Yeah. Yep.
and 30 dudes just egging each other on, and when it was time to go to bed when dad wanted to go to bed, everybody needed to shut the
Everyone
fuck
had to
up.
leave. Yeah.
And I don't know how many
Yeah.
times he would be at the bottom of the stairs yelling at us to shut the fuck up. He would never say it that way, but
No, never.
he would just
But he
yell at
definitely was
he would just
stern.
yell at Jason, "Come here." Everybody was like,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, that house was a lot of fun. A lot of ping pong, a lot of video games, a lot of red alert, a lot of pranks, a lot of streaking.
you just said
We'll go into details.
ping pong. Do you remember
That's
playing sting pong and just the
how we
ropes?
got good. Yeah, that's how we
You
got
were
good,
not
dude.
willing to mess up because you would just get blasted.
Yeah, but it made the competition like way more fierce.
Oh, yeah.
Made it legit.
Go do that and then go to a basketball game and show everybody the 35 welts you have all over your body.
Yeah, but yeah, the tree fort. It's really hard to explain. So Swiss Family Robinson is really good comparison. Really, legitimately, like you could live out there probably. Not anymore. I think it finally fell down, is what Jason told me.
I have no idea. I think the most consecutive nights we stayed out there was when Jason's whole family, like aunts, uncles, cousins, whatever, would come out. and we would spend like an entire week out there. Basically, we would basically only go inside to maybe eat because we would pretty much do everything
Maybe.
else out there.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, his family was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I
it was a
remember
blast.
they would
So,
always
do you
visit.
remember um his uncle had a boat and he came down one year and they were going to parasail off the boat and something happened to where it fell through and so we end up Joey had hooked the parasail up to the back of his Jeep and we were parasailing through like the just through Cedarville country cornfields.
I was gonna say you probably had to make sure there weren't any power lines. So you probably had to like make sure there was. I wasn't part of that. I would remember that for sure.
uh
Yeah, that's dangerous.
Joey was
One power line, you're
Joey
done.
was awesome. He was
Yeah.
his best friend I see a lot. I haven't gone talk to him yet, but I see him at my store probably once a week, or his old best
Okay.
friend.
Right. I know what you're talking about. That's wild. They definitely did some crazy stuff, but so did we. It was just different eras. You know what I mean? And also different access to stuff. They had a lot of access to things because they were pretty mechanical. So they always had vehicles.
Yeah.
They always were working, so they always had money to do stuff. They weren't rich, but they just always had money.
Yeah.
Seemed like anyway. Man, but yeah, that tree fort. It was really hard to explain. We would stay up there like the week of camp when we would do that camp thing at the university. But we would stay in the tree fort. We did that a couple times.
Yeah, so like what I remember about camp is, and I don't think Jason's parents had any idea about this, but
Surprise.
20 some years later.
You're never going to watch this podcast, but if you do, we are really sorry.
So there was so many girls that spent the night at that house during that week of camp.
I don't know what you're talking about, Joe.
I mean, you got kicked out. You weren't part of it. Like you got so hindsight. So the story is people kept coming into our buddy's house and like nonstop kept coming in, leaving the door wide open, leaving it wide open, and like nobody was like, and the buddy's dad kept coming up and like screaming at us, like, "This isn't a barn! Shut the door! Next person that leaves the door open, I'm kicking him out for the rest of the week." Well, like we weren't a part of an organization to go to this like camp at Cedarville College, and so we just made our buddy's house our home base, and so there was at its peak, how many guys were spending the night at this house during the week of camp?
I think we had 12 guys at the peak.
You think
because
12?
it dwindled down to like 7 or 8. Yeah.
I think at one night we might have got up to like 15 or so, maybe more.
Okay.
Because I mean, you said Zach, Jason, Peter, you, Lee, Eric, me, Jason, Drew, and then just off the top of my head, that's 10.
Peter.
Yeah. I think maybe like between like 10 to 15 dudes at this house. You get 10 to 15
Kenny.
dudes at the house, like they're gonna start calling girls. Next, bing bang boom, people are falling asleep. I don't think any of it was intentional. Maybe some of it was intentional.
It was back when texting first started to become like popular. iPhones weren't out yet, I don't think.
No, they were not out
at this time, but Blackberries were, and so were
Blackberries.
like the Razor. Yeah, they were.
No,
I don't think any of us had one.
Okay, maybe that's it.
But some of the girls that we had texted did. I remember that.
Okay. God, we were poor, huh?
Yeah. Kinda in the grand scheme, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I started washing dishes at the university at like 14 or 15. Needed to make money, dude.
Yeah. So there was this camp that nobody could go to. So we basically made camp at Buddy's house. 10 to 15 dudes there. We're all spending the week there. Everybody kept leaving the door open. Buddy's dad was getting fed up with it. And in walks David, comes bursting in, leaves the door open, sits down, instantly gets kicked out of the house for the rest of the week. Wasn't allowed back in. Anytime he would get close, Jason's dad would start yelling at him to get back off the property. Like,
I'm gonna correct. I'm gonna correct
okay,
you. I'm gonna correct you.
that's pretty
So
pretty accurate though.
it's pretty close. It's pretty
Okay,
close. So we were leaving at this time when we were doing camp stuff. We were riding our bikes. I don't know if we all had our licenses yet. I think we were still just under the age of having licenses. So it was like 14, I would say 14, 15 years old, something like
yeah,
that. Um, so we all had our bicycles, I remember, in the front yard. So whenever we would ride from the university, I would say because of the roads, the way they were, maybe 3/4 of a mile to a mile to go all the way to like the Dixon Ministry Center or whatever from Jason's house. But if we went across the field, it was like half a mile. But we would always just ride on the roads. So we had our bikes in the front yard. Everybody was leaving, and I was the last one, but I didn't think I was the last one. And I'll defend that to my grave. And everybody heard his dad scream, the next person that leaves that door open is not allowed to welcome back here for at least a week, right? Which that was the whole reason we were there, was for that 1 week of camp. So I was the last one out, left the door open. I remember him storming out, and this is why I vividly remember it being when we were leaving,
okay.
because he's
He's a
terrifying
big
when
man.
he gets angry. He's a big dude. So he comes storming out, slams like the door on the exit, not on like coming in. And he was like, "Who left that door open?" And everybody just like pointed at me. I remember. Talk
Bunch
about
of fucking rats, huh?
fucking rats, man. So yeah, they all pointed at me, and he was like, "You're not allowed back for a week," and he was dead serious. And then he just went back inside,
Terrifying.
and I wasn't allowed, and I didn't even try to come back, but I did go to the tree fort.
Yeah.
That's not the
So
house.
anytime we would like night would hit and we'd go back to the house, we'd be, come on, guys. Like,
They're like, "No, you gotta go home. We're the tree fort."
oh, felt bad for you, kind of. So
I mean, I deserved it.
there's a few like, well, I don't even have any contact with them, but like, there's a few females that I think would be funny to hear their version of the week of camp.
Now that we're all
Yeah,
adults, we could probably ask them.
like, you know,
Uh,
can I get a 5-minute video of your definition of what camp was?
right. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of competition too, though, because for some reason, did you notice we would always go after the same girls a lot of the
Oh
time?
man, so like
Like,
this is
why?
like you're a professional, Dave. You're a fucking professional. Like the the entryway into this next conversation is perfect. Small town, man. Like we're talking about like 30 of us best friends. Like like the 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 groups of each other were pretty small, and the female groups were even smaller.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, even just the camp, like that was a huge camp situation. We got to meet like a ton of girls,
We were
but
just
we only
going
hung
there. That
out
was the only
with
reason why we were going there. Like, was there any other?
right, but we only hung out with like a narrowed group of
Yeah,
girls.
so like
But we all were
so
trying
like
to
when
go for
camp
those
would come
girls.
in, it was literally like 10,000
Yeah,
kids our
we were
age.
celebrities.
So say
We were
5,000
celebrities.
girls just got dropped into your town. Let the piranhas eat, man. Fucking all these little hometown kids, not even a part of the goddamn camp, comes prowling around campus trying to,
Oh my god,
you know what I mean?
dude, we were big dogs on campus.
Uh,
At least we thought we were.
that's funny shit. So like,
Yeah.
but like the transition I was wanting to make was like the like how many times did you date your best friend's ex-girlfriend? How many times did he date yours? How many times did like I feel like if we went through the list, like I remember being at a lunch table and somebody standing up getting mad talking about like how he was trying to date this girl and somebody stood up and was like, "You don't want to date her because he's dated her, he's dated her, he's dated her, he's dated her. Give it up, man."
We've we've done that joke many times, and it's so true though. I mean, it's like small town that happens. But yeah, I was specifically talking about that camp
Oh,
though,
okay.
because
I thought
like
you were trying to
there
transition
were
to the next conversation.
no, we can. I was just saying though, same idea because I think we had that small town mentality. So like the first girls we would meet, those are the only girls we're going to meet, is what we thought. We didn't realize there were hundreds around
Oh
us.
yeah.
So we were all still trying to go for the
One girl
same, but we
pops
didn't
into a
need to.
circle, and then there's 10 dudes like, "No, no, no, dibs, 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 dibs."
Right. Trying to impress her. All Jason had to do is take his shirt off.
Motherfucker.
That's all right. We win with personality, Joe.
I think we had abs back then. I think we had a chance.
Oh, for sure. I think most of us did because of soccer, for sure. So it wasn't that. He was just bigger than all
Yeah.
of us. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we can transition to the next
All right.
one, which is what am I reading?
No, I mean, we talked about the. Yeah, let's pause it so I can go to the bathroom. real quick.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We just both took a piss. It was glorious. Joe, what are we about to talk about?
I don't know, man. I think I've kind of been dabbling into it, like two touching, double touching, and into it. But like, I think like it's funny. So like the whole point of dating people, like as a kid, as a college student, whatever, is kind of like figuring out what you want in your mate and your soulmate and your person you're going to live with forever. And like it's almost like practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like teaches you like the important parts of dating, the important parts of being with somebody, the important parts of what you want in somebody, things you do like, don't like, whatever. And like,
Unless you get lucky. Some people do and stay with them forever.
yeah,
Some
man. And
people get
like,
lucky.
and like kudos to them, but I'm also at the same point. Like, I also, okay, I was, that froze for a second. The timer stopped moving. So I was like, are we going? Are we not going? So like,
No, I think we're good.
a lot of people get upset when you talk about like the whole part of dating as practice, and it's not real as kids. And like, yeah, you take it seriously, but like at the same point, like you aren't pot committed on this shit. And like, I think that's one of the things that like we kind of almost like as kids, like we didn't take seriously at all. And like all of us were dating each other's
Definitely.
girlfriends, like had zero respect on it. Like there's probably like 10 girls in the city, maybe more than that, maybe less than that, that were in the friend group that had similar interests as you. What might not be the same 10 girls for you as it was me, but like
Right.
there
But
wasn't
probably.
many options, right? So
Oh,
for
100%.
so when you grow
Small
up
town.
the same group of people from elementary all the way through high school, like some point you're gonna piss somebody off and you date their girlfriend, ex-girlfriend.
Yep. Yeah, it's weird how that works, but the funny part about it is I know you moved before graduating. You moved right before the 10th grade year, correct?
I moved after 10th grade.
Okay. Um, so that was when I was really getting into playing music.
Yeah.
Um, so I think right after you left, I started playing like all the time,
Yeah, so like
like show wise.
yeah.
But that's when I started branching out and I started dating girls from other schools. And the one thing that was interesting, and I hope that a lot of our friends that we went to high school with watch this, but one of the things that I noticed that was very interesting about the females at our school is they got super jealous of any of the girls that were from other schools. But why would they be jealous if they didn't want to date me anyway?
Yeah, so like but even on the flip side, like I remember there was one specific girl that started dating somebody from another school in like ninth grade, and she was dating like a junior at another school. So like somebody that's 2 years older than her. She had like little clips in her backpack. And we'd steal them and fuck with her, and like we're fucking doing the same thing. Like we're fucking jealous as shit too. Like it's little
True,
petty
true.
shit.
hmm No, but I mean, we just admitted it, so I'm hoping that they watch this in the comments and admit that they were wrong too.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is at this point. But like at the same point,
No, no, for sure. I'm just saying
like
like equals,
but like so when I
100%.
went to Indiana, me and my friend group would go to like we didn't have a football team at the school I was at, and it was once again a
Hmm.
small private school, and so we didn't have a football team. So we go to other schools' football teams. Like we had friends at like guy friends and other shit at these other schools, and we would basically take over their football games. And like we're talking about like big big schools, like big Division 1 schools, and like we would basically like show up in like different outfits. Like it didn't make sense. Like it had nothing to do with either school. And like we would like run down onto like the track and like do like push-ups and shit, like take our shirts off and shit, and like do push-ups and stuff. And like the dudes at the schools fucking hated us. And like it didn't matter what school it was. Like we went to like 5 different schools and would do this shit, right?
Your soccer team
Yeah,
buddies?
in the same night. It didn't matter. And like we just had a reputation of just stirring the pot, and like people fucking
I didn't
hated
know
us
that.
because like we're private school kids anyways, and then add in like we're going to their school, taking off our shirts in front of their girlfriends and shit. Like
Soccer players are usually more fit.
fuck those
Just
dudes.
saying. Yeah. It's funny though, because I've met quite a few football players since I've been an adult that are around the same age or older than me. And they say they used to make fun of soccer players all the time, but now they're envious of all of those soccer players because every single one of those soccer players is in better shape than they are as an older adult. And most of them decided to make better decisions in their lives than all the football players did. And I'm not saying in general that's normally what happens, but smashing each other's faces and heads and like bodies and stuff is not good for your brain. So
I'm a bad sample
we don't.
subject when it comes to that, man.
Yeah, but you're a rare case. There's not a lot of soccer players that I knew of that had as many concussions as you. Not even close.
It's one of those things like once you got one, like it's like M&M's, man. Once you got one, you gotta have them all. And like
I think I've had one.
Jesus, man. Like like the way they
I think, but I don't even know.
classify concussions nowadays, man. I probably had 40. Like I mean, I know for a fact I went to the hospital for 7. Like passed out, knocked out, parents, somebody, trainers, somebody took me to a hospital. But like,
That's wild. It's weird to think about, isn't it?
you know what's so funny about this is like
That could have killed you, by the way.
for my junior year to my senior year, I was going to a neurologist, and like they were like doing like ink blot things and like different shit, like memory based stuff. And like this is in like 2005, 2004, 2005, right? And like concussions were still very like new study, right? And so like we're doing all this shit, and like we kind of get to the end of it, and like I had to do like 10 different sessions. So in the ninth session, on the 10th one, they're going to tell us what what the diagnosis was, what they think we should do. So the ninth one, they said, I was like, hey, like, kind of what direction we're leaning? What do you think's going on? Like, how do you think this ends? And he was like, well, honestly, like, with your memory loss, how things are going, like your baseline, I would probably suggest that you never play sports again. Says
That's
this
big.
to a 17-year-old kid.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I walk out of that room, walk into the waiting room where my mom was, and mom was like, how did it go? And I was like, went perfectly fine. He says we don't need to ever come back again.
Oh, that's perfect.
And mom was like, oh, well, that's great news. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking fantastic. Let's go. Never go back. They never call us. Never a question, right? Wild scene.
Mm-hmm.
I forget. Once again, kind of call back to the last few episodes. Kind of forget I didn't tell anybody. I'm probably in my late 20s telling this story in like a family function. My mom was like, what? And I was like, what do you mean what? She was like, that doctor said you should never play sports again. And I was like, did I forget to tell you that? And she was like, what the
Oh
like
man,
mom got
that's
so
so
mad
funny.
at me. So I would say so irrationally mad at me, but like I guess in this scenario, like probably rationally mad at me.
Pretty
But like at
rational
this
at
point, like
that
I'm in
point,
my
I would say, Joe.
20s, like late 20s, like is
It
what it is
doesn't
at
matter.
this point. It doesn't matter. But like
I'm still here, Mom. It's all good.
didn't die.
Not
Ta-da.
yet. Woo! No, it's so funny what branches off from different subjects. Yeah, the small town thing when it comes to dating each other's ex girlfriends, um, future ex wives, which that would be hilarious, but that didn't happen to either of us. Could you imagine if one of us had married a female that the other had dated for like a long period of time? That would be weird. Now we're talking a whole different rabbit hole that you could go down because Imagine if one of my friends married my ex-wife or your ex-wife, and
So
then you had to see them because you were still friends with that person.
not that, but like the closest thing I have to that is like my ex-wife. Before I dated her, she dated my current boss.
Weird.
Weird. I mean, at this point, like he hadn't dated her for 15 years. I haven't dated her in 10 plus years. So it's definitely like at this point, like it is what it is. But like maybe like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a
Well,
little weird.
was that long ago?
Dude, I'm 36, almost 36, 35. Oh, you're about to turn 36, right?
Mm-hmm. March.
So I'm
March 4th.
35, about to turn 36. So, I mean, it's been 12 years,
Are you August 4th or 2nd?
fourth.
I think Billy is the 2nd or 3rd, if I remember correctly. Either way,
All right. So,
there's
like,
a lot of birthdays beginning of
let's
August. It's
record
hard to
this
remember
and
everybody.
send this to old Bildo. So,
He has to watch the whole thing, though.
yeah, I don't know if he'll do it.
Yeah, well, maybe we can just send him a section. We'll chunk it off for you, Bill.
All right.
Your attention span is not that great. It's okay. We love you.
So, Billy worked for me multiple different segments. He worked for me when he was a cashier. We taught him how to bartend. He worked for me as a bartender multiple times. Was in a bad spot, needed some extra money, so he worked for me at Beaver Creek store for a minute. And I had a few people there that he knew, and he didn't work there very long, maybe like 2 3 months, but it's probably about a year and a half until I'd seen him. And he's one of those dudes, like he pops in and you just love him. Like you might not have seen him for a year, might not have seen him for 2 years, but like when you pop in, like you instantly have this like deep satisfaction of like he's still okay. Like
Yeah,
Billy's still alive. We're good.
that's our boy. Yeah.
And so I'm going into work one day and pulling into work and like Billy's standing in the parking lot. And it had probably been about a year and a half until I've seen him. And at this point, since you know this, I'd imagine it's out because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know if I was allowed to tell anybody. I pull into this parking lot. He was like, dude. And I was like, with Billy, man, like it's one of two things, man. Like either like you're getting ready to go party or he's in trouble and he needs some help, right? And
Yeah,
like
or he has got bad news.
bad
Yeah.
news, like I mean, it's one of those like heart drops, like, all right, lay it on me, man. He's like, about to be a dad. And he's just staring at me. And it's like, all right, man, well, is this good news or bad news? And he's like, it's fucking good news. I'm like, all right, let's go. Like, we dap up, like, we hug each other, and like, we start talking about it, like, talking about my kids for a minute. I'm like, wow, I'm about to go into like, no, I was leaving work. I was leaving work, and I had to go pick up the boys, and like, the babysitter. There's a timeline where I have to go get them, and like,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, man, I gotta go. And he's like, all right, that's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I'm gonna go ahead and take a shot, and I'm gonna go do this. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Like, super fucking happy for you. He's like, dude, I'm stoked. I'm stoked. I really am. I'm like, all right, man. Well, let me know if you need anything. He's like, all right, cool, cool, cool. And I haven't seen him, man, since then. Like,
Oh,
so I have
really?
no idea if the baby came. I have no idea if the baby isn't. Like, I've no,
No, it's still pretty fresh. I think when he first initially contacted me about it, I think it was like a month or two ago. So it's still pretty new. So that wasn't that long ago that he told you that, probably.
all right, man. Either way, man. Like, shout out to Billy. Like, happy for you. Love you, buddy. Like,
Yeah, I
best
love Billy.
wishes. Miss you. Love you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You got anything else you want to
He
hit on, Dave?
actually, Billy did say eventually he wants to come on here, by the way. So it'd be fun to have him on. He's hilarious.
I'd like to come on him. I mean,
What?
what?
No, I think we covered basically everything. People know about the tree fort now, which is great. Hidden gem. Um, small town stuff is just small town stuff. I think we covered everything we wanted to chat about today.
I know I'm like, dude, like, I look forward to this moment. And like, as soon as I get home on Monday, Tuesdays, typically when we shoot, and like, I'm trying to like push everybody, like, hurry up and fucking eat dinner, like, get your baths done, wash your fucking butts, like, fall asleep now. Like I'm trying to like hurry this thing along, and like I look forward to this, man. Like it's fun. Like I enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good time. It's funny because Carrie's usually has to eat by herself when we shoot. And then, like, when I go in there to go to the bathroom, sometimes she's like, "Are you done yet?" And I'm like, "Nope." She's like, "Come hang out with me." And I'm like, "I will. I'll be there eventually. Okay, bye." And then I like run out. It's a good time. I mean,
I didn't realize that I was an hour ahead of you. So like I mean I feel like I'm rushing to get us to this point. And so like if we need to push it back a little bit, it's not a big deal. Like I feel like it's always kind of a struggle for me to get to
we don't
like
have to go this early. Yeah, we can talk about times.
yeah. So
Cool.
you wanna plug our social and then we can get out of here?
Sure. The Best Man Podcast on all the socials. Let me see. We have Twitter, which is the Best Man Pod. Instagram at Best Man Pod. Facebook is the Best Man Pod, and then our YouTube channel is Best Man Pod. So check all those out. It is the Best Man Pod or podcast for the full title, but those are just our handles on those different sites. You'll see all of our clips on most of the websites, and then links to everything else, and then the full episodes will be on YouTube.
Yeah, man, like it, share it, post it. But like if you watch the video and you don't like it and you don't subscribe to it, like it's like an instant like Rochambeau to my nutsack. Like 'cause I just assume that you just watched it and were like, man, that's fucking terrible. Why are they doing that? And like you see like you had 57 views and one like. Like, god damn, man. I thought that was a good one. I thought that was funny. So if you fucking watch it, fucking like it.
Yeah, listen to
Son
Joe.
of a bitch.
Be nice and like our stuff. You dick.
Clip that. Post that, motherfucker.
I'll post that one.
All right.
Yeah, we can post that one. Cool. Later, everybody.
Moon